We're here today with John Lear. We're going to be talking about extraterrestrial encounters. John, thanks for joining me today.
My pleasure, Emery.
Well, the first time it happened to me, I was on our farm and down in South Florida there around the age of 7. And this craft came over the lake, maybe 35 feet in diameter. It was glowing blue-white light. And I could see 3 beings in a small portal-like oval type of window, and had this like telepathic, very quick communication, and it just unfolded in on itself and was gone. I went and I told my mom and dad, and they said, okay, that's okay, just, don't talk about it at school. When was the first time that you had felt that, we're not alone in your life?
The first time that I knew things weren't as they should be was coming out of Brownie Brown's dance school, where I took tap dancing and ballet and tumbling. There was a bus out there that I would get on and go to my 222 14th Street, which was about a 30-minute drive. And got on the bus, sat in there, jostled all the way up 14th Street, all the way to Georgina, where I got off. And just as I got off the bus, I was back at the getting on the bus. And I turned around and I said to the driver, did I just get on this bus? And he had this blank look.
Right.
And here I've got to go take that trip all over again, which is a pain in the rear end, that 30-minute plan. I just got on and
where were you, John?
That was the first time I realized something's
not right.
And then later, the first time I saw a craft was in a Lear jet descending into Los Angeles, and what looked like an M2F2 went from left to right at my same altitude.
The bathtub one?
Right, the flying bathtub.
The flying bathtub.
And only years later, after I told that story several times, did I realize, what in the world would a M2F2 be flying across the Los Angeles approach corridor? I mean, it couldn't happen.
And then you knew it couldn't happen.
Yeah, so it was something else.
Well, flying all these planes, 50 countries, have you seen any other unidentified aerial phenomena, whether it's, craft or lights or anything else overseas?
Yeah, I was flying from Detroit to Los Angeles at night, real late at night. We had just passed Chicago, and, I'm just sitting there, nothing to do at night, and looked out the window. It's hard to see out the window because, in a cockpit, usually the lights are bright enough where you can't see outside and put your head up. But my head was close to this window, and I saw something moving, and could have been a star, could have been an airplane, but it was moving fairly quickly, and then it got to a certain position and went straight up. I mean, just boom, up. I thought, wow, that's pretty interesting. And then about a minute or two later, I saw another one. And it started coming this way, and then right at this point, it went, boom, straight up like that. And I said, I'd love to tell these guys in the cockpit who don't believe anything, but it's not going to happen again, and I'm going to look like an idiot. But then it did another time, and I said, come here, you guys, I want to show you something. And they came over, the cockpit and the flight engineer, and watched it come across and go, like that, and they saw it twice, and so they had to admit, there's something that's a little odd here. And then the only other time I saw a craft was when Bob Lazar took us out to Area 51.
So would you say that was not our craft, that was their craft? We didn't have that type of technology.
The first one where it passed me, that couldn't have been our craft. It was going too fast. At least I didn't think so.
Right.
Now, the second, over Chicago, that could have been ours, because there's no reason that ET, or I don't think there could be a reason for it to come along on a flight path and just at a certain point go straight up. That didn't make sense. That was some kind of test or something that we were doing, particularly 5 in a row.
I noticed the FAA really comes down hard on pilots that see these aerial phenomena. What is that about? Who's in control of them, and why do they get so
the secret
attacked?
government? And secret government, and even if you mention something like that, you're going to immediately lose your medical certificate.
Hmm.
And you won't find a pilot, in the entire FAA inventory that would ever even bring something like that up anymore. They know better.
Well, a lot of people saw those Phoenix lights. What was that about?
I'm pretty sure that was us. I had a friend that flew for Southwest Airways. He was on the ground. He said, John, they were flying missing man formation. It was not flares. I'm familiar.
It was multiple craft, not one large
right.
craft then, right?
And it was a missing man formation. So it was for somebody who had got killed or something. He didn't say definitely us, but he said, that was definitely a missing man formation.
Mm.
And it was real. It wasn't flares. The government tried to say it was flares.
Oh, yeah, that got all blown out of proportion.
That was a really important visual for the people in Phoenix.
Oh, yes.
And there was a lot of film of it. And the military tried to pass it off as flares.
Flares, right.
Total.
Are you aware of any extraterrestrial civilizations working on planet Earth, helping any government institutions or organizations or projects side by side?
Yes, at least 5 of them work, different extraterrestrial civilizations work up at Groom Lake.
Right.
And then inside the Earth, there's at least 800 separate civilizations that live in there.
Absolutely.
And they said, how can there be that much room? You have no idea
have no
how much
idea.
room there is in there. And they say, well, is the Earth hollow? No, it's not hollow, but they have these huge spaces, under there.
People don't know how much volume Earth is.
Absolutely.
And how much water covers it, too.
Right.
And the best place to hide things is the ocean.
Absolutely.
And under these other caverns that you talk about.
And the amazing creatures in the ocean.
Yes.
Fantastic creatures.
Yes.
And I saw the video the other day of a guy who was a deep sea diver on making the oil rigs.
Oh, yeah.
And he made a presentation that was very scary. He saw something, and it scared the living out of him. And it was uncomfortable just watching him tell this story because it was so believable.
Mm-hmm.
When this one grabbed onto the guy and tried to take him, and he got away from it.
Whoa. Yeah, there's a lot of beings also that live in the water out there in the depths that we're investigating to this day. So it's very interesting because I used to film for National Geographic and Discovery Channel underwater film, and learning every day they're discovering a new species of seaweed, bacteria, a fish, just like in the Amazon, they're discovering a new species every day of something that we didn't know of, whether it's an insect or whatever. And I think there's a lot more discovery that's going to come out that's going to be ET related due to genetics and the things that are coming in and out of projects that people may be carrying out on their skin. They don't even know it. And a lot of mutation factors are happening around the planet that we're noticing through the testing of DNA.
They spent 50 years trying to prove the Loch Ness Monster, this or that. Of course it's there.
Yeah.
But trying to prove it is something else.
Right. Tell me about these 5 different ET civilizations that are working with us at Groom Lake.
The only story I know is the story about the security guard. And they used to hire security guards to sit at different parts of the walkways they had built. They were built out of stainless steel. And they'd have a guard station there, and I don't know what he's supposed to do, but anyway, this one guard is sitting there, had just been hired, and here comes a praying mantis walking down the hallway, and comes walking down the hallway, and the security guard looks at him, has a heart attack, and dies right there. And so then after that, when they hired security guards, they spent a 3 weeks indoctrination period of showing them pictures, but very carefully and not everything at the same time. Give them a flash image, and then the next time maybe a couple of seconds, to get them used to seeing this weird stuff, because take somebody off the street and put them on security and
sure.
have a praying mantis come down the hallway, shuffling along, that's some people would
It's
think
quite
that's
shocking.
very shocking. So that's the only story I know.
But what was some of the other species that you said that you know of 5, but this is just one story you heard of?
I'm trying to think. There was one that was called the Orange, the one that was called the E-band. Some of them looked pretty far out. Some of them kind of like us, but I don't remember exactly all of them.
Right. There's a misconception out there with these grays. What could you tell me about that?
They're made on Zeta Reticuli,
Right.
and they are cybernetic organisms. They're essentially glorified robots, and anybody can use them. Good ETs, bad ETs, whatever. They're just there to do a job, whatever Rare asked to do. The story about Serpo is completely not true. Serpo is a story that's been going around about the contingent of Air Force and Navy personnel that went to Zeta Reticuli and learned how to play soccer with them and all kinds of nonsense.
Yeah.
When I first heard that, I couldn't believe it. And people really thought...
People believe we hit golf balls on the moon.
But the story I heard 30 years ago or so was there were 3 guys that went to Zeta Reticuli and stayed a couple of weeks, and when they came back, one had died, one had gone crazy, and one was completely normal. And so that's the first time I heard of anything similar to Serpo.
About 2,500 years ago, the Ebens genetically experimented with DNA changes in humans living in Bhutan, Tibet, and Nepal. The result was that some of those altered humans were transplanted to Central America, specifically the Mayans, that were related to that genetic experimentation. And that comes from a Washington source. My Washington military source back in 1983, who told me that the Ebens made us and put us here, they watch us live and grow. They've been here since at least the time of the dinosaur origin, some 250 million years ago, maybe older. He told me that he had read a government classified report that the Ebens collected one of each species of dinosaur and placed them either in one big planetary zoo or on different planets. I asked him what happened that caused almost total annihilation of Earth life, including the wipeout of the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. And this is what he said, quote, "I read in the Yellow Book that an Eben 3-dimensional history of Earth shows that the Ebens knew back then, 65 million years ago, that a very large asteroid was going to hit the Earth. The Ebens wrote that they were saving one of each species that was on this planet, not just the dinosaurs, but the ants, insects, flies, snakes, fish. The Ebens said they took one of everything to save all the species before the asteroid hit." So I said, "It's a Noah's Ark rescue story." And he said, "That's right. And I guess they've experimented with life forms here on Earth ever since. But what bothers us is that the Ebens can do most anything they want. They could have evaporated that asteroid, even if it was big. But they didn't. Does that mean the Ebens wanted to get rid of their dinosaur experiment? And what came next was the rise of mammals. Humans are primate mammals. And the question we both talked about without a clear answer was, would the Ebens save us humans now if a big asteroid was headed for Earth? In the 1990s, I was told that MJ12 had evolved to a different letter number code that began E2, perhaps related to an alleged black budget military organization with the Defense Department called E2SCD, stands for the Extraterrestrial Space Command Directorate. Whatever the letter, number, name is now as we head toward the middle of the 21st century, I would like to share what I think is one of the most important leaked documents. That is another executive briefing for an unnamed president on the subject of Project Aquarius, top secret. The next page is entitled Executive Briefing, perhaps meaning it has been used for American presidential briefings. This is another page classified T.S. Orcon. In June 1947, a civilian pilot flying over the Cascade Mountains of Washington State observed 9 flying discs, later referred to as UFOs. The commander, Air Technical Intelligence Center of the then Army Air Force, became concerned and ordered an inquiry. This was the beginning of the United States' involvement with UFO investigations. That's not true. It was earlier, but this is what they're saying formally. In 1947, an aircraft of extraterrestrial origin crashed in the desert of New Mexico. The craft was recovered by the military. 4 alien, non-Homo sapien bodies were recovered in the wreckage. The aliens were found to be creatures not related to human beings. See Attachment 1, which is not included with this leaked Project Aquarius document. That would have been photographs. In late 1949, another alien aircraft crashed in the United States and was recovered partially intact by the military. 1 alien of extraterrestrial origin survived that crash in 1949. The surviving alien was male and called itself Eba. The alien was thoroughly interrogated by military intelligence personnel at a base in New Mexico. The alien's language was translated by means of pictographs. It was learned the alien came from a planet in the Zeta Reticuli star system, approximately 40 light years from Earth. Eba lived until June 18, 1952, when he died of an unexplained illness. During the time period Eba was alive, he provided valuable information regarding space technology, origins of the universe, and exobiological matters, meaning other life in the cosmos. Further data is contained in Attachment 2, which is also not included in this leaked document. The next page, also classified T.S. Orcon, states, the recovery of alien aircraft led the United States on an extensive investigative program to determine whether these aliens posed a direct threat to our national security. In 1947, the newly created Air Force initiated a program to investigate incidents involving UFOs. The program was operated under 3 different code names: Grudge, Sign, and finally Blue Book. The original mission of the Air Force program was to collect and analyze all reported sightings or incidents involving UFOs and determine whether the information could be interpreted as having any bearing on the security of the United States. Some information was evaluated with the idea of using the gained data to advance our own space technology and future space programs. Of the estimated 12,000 reports analyzed by the Air Force were considered hoaxes, explained aerial phenomena, or natural astronomical objects. The other 10% were considered legitimate, alien sightings and/or incidents. However, not all UFO sightings or incidents were reported under the Air Force program. In 1953, Project Gleam was initiated by order of President Eisenhower, who believed the UFOs presented a threat to the national security of the United States. Project Gleam, which became Project Aquarius in 1966, was a parallel reporting system for UFO sightings and incidents that you could say were real, as opposed to those being parceled out to Project Blue Book, which had another reason. The reports collected under Project Aquarius were considered actual sightings of alien aircraft or contacts with alien life forms. Most reports were made by reliable military and Defense Department civilian personnel. The next page of the Aquarius document, classified TS Orcon, says in 1958, the United States recovered a third alien aircraft from the desert of Utah. The aircraft was in excellent flying condition. The aircraft was apparently abandoned by the aliens for some unexplainable reason, since no alien life forms were found in or around the aircraft. That aircraft was considered a technological marvel by United States scientists. However, the operating instrumentations of the aircraft were so complex that our scientists could not interrupt their operation, meaning stop or start or use. The aircraft was stored in a top security area and analyzed throughout the years by our best aerospace scientists, and I am told that that is a letter number location in the state of Utah. The United States gained a large volume of technological data from the recovered alien aircraft. A detailed description and further information regarding the aircraft is explained in Attachment 3, not included in this leaked document. The next page is entitled Sub-Projects under Project Aquarius. Paragraph 1, Top Secret Orcon, Project Bando, Pro-Word Risk. Originally established in 1949, its mission was to collect and evaluate medical information from the surviving alien creature and the recovered alien bodies. This project medically examined EBA and provided United States medical researchers with certain answers to the evolutionary theory. OPR-CIA was the category responsible. That was terminated in 1974. Paragraph 2, TS Orcon, Project Sigma, Pro-Word Midnight. This was originally established as part of Project Gleam in 1954. This became a separate project in 1976. Its mission was to establish communication with aliens. This project met with positive success when in 1959, the United States established primitive communications with the aliens. On April 26, 1964, a U.S. Air Force intelligence officer met two aliens at a prearranged location in the desert of New Mexico. This is what I was shown at Kirtland Air Force Base on April 9, 1983, is about this event. The contact lasted for approximately 3 hours. It was based on the aliens' language given to us by EBA. The Air Force officer managed to exchange basic information with the two aliens. Attachment 7, also not included in this leaked document. That would be photographs and film. This project is continuing at an Air Force base in New Mexico, OPR MJ12/NSA. This paragraph 3 is TS Orcon Project Snowbird, Pro-Word Cetus. Originally established in 1972, its mission was to test fly a recovered alien aircraft. This project is continuing in Nevada under OPR, U.S. Air Force, NASA, CIA, and MJ12. Paragraph 4, TS Orcon Project Pounce, Pro-Word Dixie. Originally established in 1968, its mission was to evaluate all UFO IAC, which is the identified aerial craft that our government knows are extraterrestrials. All UFO IAC information pertaining to space technology. Project Pounce continues with OPR, NASA, U.S. Air Force. The next page begins, TS Orcon, several independent scientific investigations at the request of the Air Force and CIA were initiated during the era of Project Blue Book. MJ-12 decided that officially the Air Force should end their investigation of UFOs. This decision was arrived at during and there is a word that's not readable, a meeting, and this was in attachment 4 that also was not included in this leaked document, but that the meeting was held in 1966. The reason was twofold. First, the United States had established communication with the aliens. The United States felt relatively sure the aliens' exploration of Earth was non-aggressive, at least the EBINs, and that they were not hostile. Perhaps they didn't know about the dangerous insect tronoloids at that time in 1966. It was also established that the aliens' presence did not directly threaten the security of the United States at that time. Secondly, the public was beginning to believe that UFOs were real. The National Security Council felt this public feeling could lead to a nationwide panic. The United States was involved in several sensitive projects during this time period. So it was felt that public awareness of these projects would have jeopardized the future space program of the United States, meaning if it were made public. Therefore, MJ-12 decided that an independent scientific study of UFO phenomena would be needed to satisfy public curiosity. The final official study of the UFO phenomena was accomplished by the University of Colorado under Air Force contract. And this was the very controversial Condon report that inside researchers say was deliberately concocted to keep the media and the public from serious interest in the UFO alien presence on Earth and to take away heat from the Air Force and the government. That Condon study concluded that sufficient data did not exist that would indicate UFOs threatened the security of the United States. The final conclusion satisfied the government and allowed the Air Force to officially step out of the UFO investigating business. This page, T.S. Orcon. But when the Air Force officially closed Project Blue Book in December 1969, Project Aquarius, this document, continued operation under control of the National Security Council and MJ-12. The NSC felt investigations of UFO sightings and incidents had to continue in secrecy without any public knowledge. The reasoning behind the decision was this. If the Air Force continued its investigation of UFOs, eventually some uncleared and unbriefed Air Force or Defense Department civilian officials would obtain these facts behind Project Aquarius. And obviously, for operational security reasons, this could not be allowed. In order to continue the investigation of UFO sightings and incidents in secrecy, investigators from CIA, DCD, and MJ-12 were assigned to military and other governmental agencies with orders to investigate all legitimate UFO IAC sightings and incidents. These agents are presently operating at various locations throughout the United States and Canada. All reports are filtered either directly or indirectly to MJ-12. These agents are collecting reports of UFO IAC sightings and incidents occurring on or near sensitive government installations. Note, aliens have been extremely interested in our nuclear weapons and nuclear research. Many reported military sightings and incidents occur over nuclear weapon bases. The aliens' interest in our nuclear weapons can only be attributed to the future threat of a nuclear war on Earth. The Air Force have initiated measures to assure the security of the nuclear weapons from alien theft or destruction. MJ-12 feels confident the aliens are on an exploration of our solar system for peaceful purposes, at least the EBINs. However, we must continue to observe and track the aliens' movement until it is determined that the aliens' future plans contain no threat to our national security or the civilization of Earth. This near final page, classified T.S. Orcon, states, most governmental documents pertaining to UFO sightings, incidents, and governmental policies, including Project Blue Book, have been released to the public under FOIA or under various other release programs. MJ-12 felt the remaining documents and information not relating to Project Aquarius, but relating to technological facts regarding alien medical matters, the fact that an alien was captured alive and survived for 3 years under secrecy, and I know that was at Los Alamos. This cannot be released to the public for fear the information would be obtained by, all caps, SHIS, an acronym that is still not clearly identified. There was other information obtained from EBA that was deemed sensitive and not releasable to the public. Notably, Project Aquarius Volume 9, which pertains to tracing the aliens' first visitation of Earth back some 5,000 years. I will also insert that I think that that is not correct. I have been told by a DIA source, privately, confidentially, anonymously, that our government now, in this 21st century, has proof that 3 competing extraterrestrial biological groups have been terraforming and harvesting genetic material from our planet for at least 270 million years from before the time of the dinosaurs. But continuing with this Project Aquarius, obviously written politically for a presidential briefing and not telling the president everything either, EBA reported that 2,000 years ago, his ancestors planted a human creature on Earth to assist the inhabitants of Earth in developing a civilization. This information was only vague, and the exact identity or background of this information on this Homo sapien was not obtained. Undoubtedly, that is a word in this document. If this information was released to the public, it would cause a worldwide religious panic. MJ3 has developed a plan that will allow release of Project Aquarius, volumes 1 through 3. The release program calls for a gradual release of information over a period of time in order to condition the public for future disclosures. Attachment 5 of this briefing contains certain guidelines for future public releases. The last page of the leaked Aquarius document states, T.S. Orcon, in the 1976 MJ3 report, and this is in attachment 6, which is not included in my leaked document, it was estimated the aliens' technology was many thousands of years ahead of United States technology. Our scientists speculate that until our technology develops to a level equal to the aliens, we cannot understand the large volume of scientific information the United States has already gained from the aliens. This advancement of United States technology may take many hundreds of years.